many major differences between working in the UK and working in the United States. First, let's talk about salary. According to the United States Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average salary for doctors in the United States is $229,000. For nurses, it's $81,000. For software engineers, it is approximately $127,000. For teachers, is $62,000. While in the UK, for nurses, I found that the range of £28,000 to £35,000. For doctors, it's about £79,000. For software engineers, it's between £30,000 to £50,000. And for teachers in the UK is £28,000 to £35,000 as well. The statistics for the UK kind of come here and there, but you get the gist. For these two countries, you see that in the United States, you will earn about 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, even 5 times what you can earn in the UK. From experience working in the United States, I find that in the US is also more generous in offering incentives, bonuses, extra pays, and all of that. For example, if your base pay is $40 per hour and you add additional 3 hours, 4 hours for, pick up additional hours in at work, the base pay may increase to 1.5 of your base pay. So for $40 per hour base pay, you will earn for extra hours about $60 per hour, which is really a huge jump. For the United Kingdom, they also offer additional pays and all of that, but it's not going to be as significant as what they offer in the United States. In the US, you also find when you're getting new jobs like bonuses like 3,000, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 sign-on bonuses in the United States. Coming from the UK to the United States, I feel that those bonuses are really generous.
Money.
Now, let's talk about time at work. According to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, an average American spends 38.7 hours per week at work, while in the UK, according to the Office of National Statistics, an average person living in the UK works 36.4 hours per week. So as you can see, people spend more hours working in the United States than in the UK. For the past 2 years, I've noticed that at work, I see people who work 12-hour shifts 6 days in a week, 5 days in a week, 4 days in a week on a repeat. Every week you see the same person working 5 to 6 days in a week, and sometimes people that work only 3 days in a week, you also come to understand that they also have another full-time job. That means they work 6 to 7 days in a week, and I'm like,
why?
How are they even doing this? And why is the management not saying anything? And someone now explained to me that this is like normal in the United States for people to have 2 jobs, for people to have extra hours. And the most surprising thing about this is that they are very vocal about it. They are not shy to say that they have 2 jobs, or that they have another job, or that they have that side hustle. I had one of the teachers somewhere for my child actually type out in the text, "Oh, I forgot to do this because I was going to my other job." And I'm like, what? This is something that I don't think I ever heard when I was working in the United Kingdom. In the UK, when you pick up extra hours more than 2 days, like if you work 3 days in a row, 12-hour shifts, and add another day, they're going to allow you to do that. But in your computer, in the schedule, is going to show red. That means this is abnormal. This is abnormal. And if you work more than that, you need to be very careful, because if anything happens, they are going to tie it to you have worked too much.
I'm just overworked.
And people have that mentality that it is too much to work 5 days in a row, 4 days in a row on a repeat. Your manager will likely call you and say, "This is too much. Are you getting," and going to ask you questions about it. And I feel like that is really good. They are looking out to make sure that you are healthy and you are working as well. And they're also looking out for the safety of the people, or the quality of work that you are going to be doing when you are overworked. So managers come in when you work too much. So people who want to work additional hours or 2 jobs in the UK, they are not very vocal about it. They can get additional hours somewhere else, part-time job somewhere else, but it's not something that they're going to use as an excuse, or they're even going to mention. You hardly hear people say that they work this place, that place. They are going to say it like on a very low tone, or friends, but it's not something that discussed commonly. But in the United States, it's as if nobody cares that you have additional jobs. What they want you to do is that when you come to your job, you should just do what you're expected to do. And that was really, really strange to me when I moved to the United States. So I still see that the UX workplace is structured in such a way that whenever you come on in, you bring in your game. You have to do what you're supposed to do, and based on the expectation as well. Now, how about time off work? In the UK, the minimum vacation time by law is 5.6 weeks per year, while in the United States, the average is 10 days. According to the US Department of Labor, there is the Fair Labor Standards Act, FLSA, and this does not require payment for hours not worked, like sick leave, vacation, and all of that. So technically, paid time off or paid vacation time in the United States is a mutual agreement between the employee and the employer. So when you're getting a job in the United States, they include all of that as benefits. Benefits means the employer is offering you these like paid time or vacation and all of that, but that does not mean that the law requires them to pay you for those days that you do not work. What I have found in the US is that you can work for a year, and then while you work, you accrue the number of paid vacation days. So my experience working in a year, I may have 2 weeks accumulated. And how that works is that if I decide to take more than 2 weeks off, some organizations will go to the sick days. So what happens is that you accrue days, vacation days and sick days as well. So if you take vacation for more than the days that you have accrued, like the 2 weeks, you want to take 3 weeks, they will go to your sick days that you have already accumulated and add it. Maybe to add up to 3 days, 5 days or whatever. So they will pay you for the 3 weeks, but that means you don't have no sick days anymore. You don't have vacation days anymore. After that, you can't take any other pay days off. So you can take days off work, but you're not going to get paid. Okay. According to the US Department of Labor, they also have another one called FMLA. It stands for Family and Medical Leave Act. So this requires that an employee can stay outside work for 12 weeks without getting paid, but also not getting fired. For instance, if you have family member or medical issue that you need to address, and you are not going to be, you don't have the paid time in your employment, but you need to go, you can go for that vacation and not get paid, but you still have your job secure. That means you can't be sacked or you can't be fired during that time. And then, but you're not going to get paid, which is quite different from the UK. So in the UK, even with the 5.6 weeks vacation time per year, you also have the sick leave as well. So if your doctor says that you cannot be at work for a number of days, your job is still protected and you're allowed to go on sick leave without affecting your holidays or your vacation hours. That means you can still go for your vacation even though you also went for your sick leave or whatever. So I mean, the time difference size. So based on having more time, definitely the UK, you have more time to go for vacation. If you're sick, you have more time. If you need to look after your family, they also have, you can also take time off for family. They also have bereavement. You have some of those in the UK. And in the UK, you have to bear in mind this is where you're working with the government. So if you're working with private organizations, definitely these are going to be different. So when you work in the UK agencies or private organizations, some of them don't offer all the benefits like the vacation and all of the additional sick leave, the other benefit like maternity leave, sick leave, bereavement. They are going to be different, but they are also required to give you vacation days, unlike the US where it's not like required by law unless you decide on all of that with your employer at the beginning of your contract with them. How about maternity leave? There is a huge difference between the maternity leave in the UK and the maternity leave in the United States. In the UK, the maternity leave is 52 weeks according to the UK government website, and this is actually divided into two. We have the ordinary maternity leave, which is for the first 26 weeks, and the additional maternity leave, which is for the next 26 weeks. So you have a total of 52 weeks, but you don't have to take the whole 52 weeks. weeks. However, if you give birth, you must take at least 2 weeks after your delivery. And if you work in the factory, you must take 4 weeks before you go back to work. And for this 52 weeks maternity leave, your leave can start 11 weeks before the week of your delivery, which is really cool. That means you can start your maternity leave almost 3 months before the week of your due date. But if you fall ill 1 month, approximately 1 month, that's 4 weeks before the week of your delivery for a pregnancy related illness, you are also required to start your maternity leave immediately. So that automatically becomes your maternity leave. I think that is really, really very generous. For the pay as well, you have what is called the statutory maternity pay, the SMP, and you also have a percentage from your employer. That means that the employer pays and then you have your SMP as well. So what happens is, from my experience, is that in the first 6 months, you are going to be getting a salary that looks like your normal salary. So in my experience, I felt like it's very close to my normal salary if I'm at work. Then after that 6 months, your employer is likely to reduce how much you're earning, and then you are also getting your SMP. So what it feels like is getting half of your pay. So that is what it is in the UK. So many people return after 1 year when they feel like the baby can stay with anybody and all of that, and then they return to work. For the US, however, the Family and Medical Leave Act actually covers giving birth, pregnancy complications and all of that. But the interesting thing is that if you're sick and the sickness is related to pregnancy, complication, and whatever, is going to count against the FMLA. And the FMLA is 12 weeks and it can be unpaid. That's what the law says. However, many employers will offer maternity leave as one of the benefits, if you remember when I explained the FMLA. So this pregnancy, giving birth, everything actually falls under the FMLA. So if you work with an employer that offers paid maternity leave, then that's one of your benefits. But the interesting thing is that if you take time off because of sickness related to pregnancy and all of that, it will count against the number of days that are going to be paid for your maternity. So if you take 1 month before giving birth, then your maternity leave already have already been short of 1 month. That means when you give birth, you have just 2 months of paid leave to stay before you can now return to work. So what I have seen people do here is that they will take the remaining, or if they manage to stay till they give birth before they start taking their maternity leave, then they will take their maternity leave and take few more weeks off unpaid, or they will return to work and continue working. So the FMLA in the United States is what covers the maternity leave, and it's really, really, really tight. But what I have seen that is good on the positive note is that so many employers are mother-child friendly, in the sense that they provide a place where the workers can go and express milk, and they provide maybe fridge or freezer. They can provide like something like fridge where they can store their milk. And then many of these mothers, when they come back, and their children are in the daycare, they also have like videos that they watch their kids, make calls, and they are giving breaks in between the work time to go and express their milk, and also, get in touch with their family, which I think is also good. So, but the UK definitely is much more mother-child friendly in terms of maternity leave than the United States. How about the job security? What I have noticed from experience is that it's easy to get fired in the United States. And if you are working in any place, it's easy for you to hear that person has been fired, that person has been fired. I will write you up. I will write this person up. It's a very common language in the United States, unlike the UK, where it is almost impossible for someone to be sacked easily, or let's say you don't hear it as often as you hear it in the US. So in the UK, for my approximately 4 years working in the UK, I can't really remember anyone that has been fired in my workplace. But working in the US for just approximately 2 years, I have seen a lot of people being fired. Even the last time I went to work, I heard someone was fired. So in the US, there's something that is very, very common, like peer reviews. So management tends to listen to what your peers say about you. Assuming you get a job after 6 months and they are doing your review, they're going to call your preceptor. They will ask your colleagues that you work with, and they also include it in judging your skills and everything. So you see people like saying something like, I'm going to write you up, and or you're being careful where you work or something like that, because your co-workers can actually put you in trouble, even ultimately get you fired. Like if they don't like you, I feel like they can, write up, gang up against you, right? And then management, for some reason, believes your co-workers, your colleagues a lot in the United States. While in the UK, what I have seen is that even when there are reports, negative reports about a staff, usually they'll make the staff to maybe go through orientation, send the staff to occupational health, send them to a particular department to ask them what's going on. Is there anything that we can help? I've seen a case of where they will make someone to go through orientation again, something like that. But it's just hard to hear that there's someone that lost his or her job because of maybe what the peer says. So in the US, I feel like there is this pressure to not only impress the management, but also make sure that your colleagues are happy with you and all of that. So that is what I see in the US. So it is easier to get fired in the US than in the UK. Building on that, I would say that the US work culture feels very competitive and like hustle-like kind of feeling. And if you're new to the US, you are definitely going to feel that energy. People are going to come off like they are being competitive. They are trying to show that they are doing the work better. And what I have seen is that if anybody is doing something good or going above and beyond, like they usually describe here, they are going to be very vocal about it. Oh, I did this. They want people to see what they are actually doing. They will say that this is what they are doing and all of that. While in the UK, I find it to be more relaxed, more laid back, even though there will be all these recognition awards and all of that for people that have like that are excellent in their job and all of that. Your colleagues are not going to make you feel like, oh, they are doing the better job and all of that. And it's more kind of inclusive, teamwork is encouraged and all. But in the US, even though teamwork is encouraged, as individuals as well, they are trying to also show that they are doing this well, they are doing that well. And if you're new to the US, you're really going to feel very uncomfortable. Again, they also, like I mentioned, value feedback. So your peers reviewing your skills and everything makes people to be on their toes all the time, trying to prove that they can do this, trying to prove that they can do that. So I really feel that, if it is a little bit more relaxed, maybe it's better, but that's what I feel. But I know that competitive nature also helps to make sure that they deliver the best work, like the quality of work. I once had an experience going to receive a vaccine and in a clinic, and after receiving that vaccine, I felt like really giving that LVN a very big hug, because she went above, she did everything to make sure I don't do, because there was a document I was supposed to sign and I was finding it hard to log into my phone or to log into the website and all of that. She dropped everything she was doing. She tried to log in for me. She tried everything possible to make sure that I fill up that form, because I had gone to that clinic from work and she already saw that I'm tired coming from work and everything. She did everything possible. I know in the UK, you will not find anybody that will do that. But in the US, people will do everything to help you, and they will look relaxed. They will ask you questions. They will give you information. They will ask you if you have any questions. That's how the kind of feeling we have when we're receiving any service in the US. So that competition culture, that trying to be the best in what they are doing, that trying to, show that they can do this thing, actually helps to elevate the work that you got, the quality of the service that you get. While in the UK, the laid back kind of service that you get, even though they try to do the right thing, people are not likely to go above and beyond. You are more likely to be told to, like, oh, come back next time, or let's reschedule or something like that. Like if I take my kids for services and maybe something happens, they run away, they don't like it, it's most likely that they are going to tell you, oh, we'll reschedule, and you find yourself getting another date for like 3 months, 2 months away, which is really irritating. In the US, I've not seen any of that. Going for any services at all with my kids, they will do everything. You will see it. They will put in the work. They will do everything to make sure that the environment is good, that they are talking, they are asking you questions, just to make sure that they get it done that day. But that actually helps to increase the quality of the service that you get in the US overall. that is my own experience. And actually, this leads me to taking breaks. In the UK, if you find yourself being busy all day and you don't go for break, you see a lot of people say, oh, today we are so busy, I couldn't even go for break, and all of that is a big thing. But in the US, it's very hard for me to hear that the people to discuss that they didn't go for break as like a big thing. They're going to say it, but it's not like as a big issue like in the UK. In the UK, your immediate superior will make sure that you take your tea break, your lunch break. They will ask you, even when you are busy, at least someone recognizes that you're busy and they're coming to ask you, oh, you've not had your lunch break, have you had your lunch break, all of that. But in the US, if you're busy and you're not taking your break, you will not hear anybody. I've never heard anyone say, oh, I've not seen you go for your lunch break. You need to go for your lunch break. Maybe it's the places that I've worked, but I've seen that it's not as serious or as that in the US as it is in the UK. So in the US, they do have like their mandatory 30 minutes break on the average, and they also have like the minimum number of minutes you can take for breaks. So what people do is that on the days that they are busy, they will just take the minimum break and then they will not take all their breaks. But in the UK, people take their breaks and management recognizes, or the immediate superior will look out for you and to ask you whether you have taken your break or that. But all these things are actually complicated. It depends on where you work, where you find yourself. I do hear that some organizations in the US, they are more strict with their break time and all of that, but I find that in the UK they are more like noticing about whether workers are taking breaks while at work and all of that. So I mean, in the US as well, because people are trying to go above and beyond as well, that affects taking breaks, because if they are busy looking after a client, they don't want to take a break. But in the UK, they will tell you, this is our break time. Oh, excuse me, this is my break time, something like that. And you are expected to recognize that. You are not expected to get angry or something like that. You should know that this person is supposed to go for break. But in the US, I know it's from experience is a different understanding and a different thing that I see here. However, for all of these things is subject to where you work, the kind of people you work with, the kind of organization. So these are basically my experiences in the United States. So if you have a different experience, please, I want to hear in the comment section. So do you take breaks or don't you take breaks? How does it work where you are? And for those in the UK, is it the same? Because where I worked in the UK, they are after you, they want to make sure you take your break and all of that. But I don't see that in the US. So if it is different for you, I would like to hear in the comment section. Next is burnout. Of course, from all of these comparisons, you will know that in the US, people are more likely to be burnt out, because if you're doing 2 jobs, if people are not even worried whether you're going for your breaks, if people are not worried whether you're working 4 straight nights, 4 straight days, 5 straight days without taking any breaks, of course, in the US, people are more likely to be burnt out on their jobs. And in the UK, people are also, you will find people who complain that they are burnt out in the UK as well, but I know they do have time to rest, time to recuperate. And if they are feeling burnt out or they are not feeling well emotionally or physically, they also have more generous sick days and understanding as well. And they are not as afraid to lose their job like people in the US. So you see people who are sick in the US, but they'll still manage to go to work. For some people who are half sick or half tired or half anything like that in the US, and if they are in the UK, I know they won't find themselves in the workplace. But in the US, you still find people come to work tired or not feeling good or something like that. But in the UK, if someone is not feeling good, they can call in and say, oh, I don't feel good today, or something happened, that people are more free to take over. So the burnout in the UK will of course be lower than people who explain that they are burnt out in the United States. Next one is work progression. From experience, I believe that progressing in the United States is much more easier than progressing in the United Kingdom in terms of career. Okay, so working in the United States, I've noticed that a lot of people go back to school to get one degree or the other, and the number of degrees that you have, or the kind of degrees and additional degrees that you have in the United States, directly influence your earning potential. So a lot of people go back to school. Like around me, you see people going back for their nurse practitioner, going for their PhDs. People go for those that doesn't have degree, they are going back for their degrees. And once you graduate, it is most likely going to to affect how much you're going to get paid, or you have more opportunities to work in other organizations or get different roles. In the UK, however, they also have trainings throughout the year. Like any organization that you work in, they are most likely going to organize training, online courses, and all of that. But you don't find your colleagues going back for additional degrees with the full force that you see in the United States. In the UK as well, getting another role is easy, but at the end of the day, the more you earn in the UK, your tax increases, which is the same in the United States. However, the tax in the UK is actually much more, and it influences how much you take home. And at the end of the day, if you move from one ladder, for example, in the nursing profession, if you move from band 5 to band 6, for instance, by the time you after tax, the take-home salary for band 6 and band 5, the difference will not be as much. So people don't really have so much drive to go from one position to the other like in the United States. But in the United States, the more you earn, you also pay more tax, but the take home is still more, significantly more. So people are motivated to go for additional training, and then when they have more experiences, you see them also going for higher positions. So that's a huge difference that I've also noticed in the United States. Of course, all of this actually depends on a lot of factors. All these differences between working in the United Kingdom and working in the United States, it actually depends on a lot of factors: where you are, the kind of skills you have, the kind of experience you have, where you are from. You know, all of this actually influence how you perceive a particular place. And remember, United States is really huge, and I'm in Texas, so it's most likely that if I work in another state, and it might be different, like the work culture might be different. If you agree with what I said about these differences, I would like to also hear your opinion in the comment section. Please like this video. If you know anyone moving to the United States and want to get a glimpse of what it is like, you can also share this video as well. Subscribe to my channel, and let's just continue to go on this journey together. I wish you all the best of 2024, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.